Yes, and it is 7:08 a.m. Here with Dave King and Matt Martin in the mornings, broadcasting live from the Culligan Water Studio. Better water, pure and simple. And as we promised, the mayor, the man, is here. Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Doing well. How are you today?
We're arguing a little bit this morning.
What are you arguing about?
Oh, about our president.
There's always something to chat about.
We're talking about his rhetoric.
Yeah. Well, big meeting last night. Were you guys up late?
We were. We had a long day yesterday. Now the meeting finished about 8:30, but we started at 2:30, and then there's always stuff to do after the meeting. So.
But y'all finalized the budget.
We did.
Or the last vote, the final.
We did. Yeah. It's I guess for staff, it's a culmination of probably 8 months of work. For us, it's been a pretty solid 60 days, and so it's done.
So LP&L is going to pay for part of Citizens Tower, it looks like. Sure,
they're going to occupy it. I mean, I think in some ways it's the way they pay their rent. But we've talked. This is something that I've talked a lot about in the last few weeks. So when Citizens Tower was funded by the previous council, it was paid for out of the general fund. They issued certificates of obligation. Therefore, the LP&L is not in the general fund. LP&L stands on their own. They're one of our business units, one of our enterprise groups. So they're going to occupy that, and they and others that are not in the general fund. So if you're not police, fire, parks, IT, streets, the things that are in the general fund, those groups will help pay for Citizens Tower, as you would, will allocate their portion of the cost to them. I don't know what the plan was when it was originally set up, but to me, that makes good sense. That's the way you would do it in the business world, and so they'll pay for their portion of Citizens Tower. Mm. Yeah. Now this year it's a little odd because they're going to pay for this year and last year both, is because we didn't do it last year, and those bonds. The first of that debt was issued in early 15, maybe the first half of 15. The bulk of it was issued in April of 16. So we started. You start paying for those things, after you issue them. So that's the story.
This thing has really been complicated, hasn't
it? Yeah, it's been complicated. Yes, I think it's a great. That's probably an understatement, Dave.
No,
I
think you're right, but I think you always have to remind people, because I don't think most people are aware that Citizens Tower kind of got dumped on you guys. I mean,
sure.
The city basically wound up with it, didn't they? And they had a choice to either tear it down or refurbish it.
That's pretty much that was the decision that faced the previous council, and they decided to buy it and to rehab it, and to remodel it.
And demolishing a building of that size would have run in the millions. So I remember Mayor Robinson talking about that.
Yeah, certainly in the millions. I don't know how many, but quite a few. We had, first, you had to remediate the thing. It was. So there were a lot.
If we hear anything negative at all about the city, it's about Citizens Tower. I think there's a lot of citizens that are upset about it, but I don't know that they really fully understand everything that was in play there.
I wish we'd have had a chance to vote on it. I've said that many times. I've probably said that in here with you guys. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was something that we didn't have a chance to do. I think that would have been ideal. But unfortunately, we didn't. The debt was issued as COs. Our council inherited that, and we're going to execute best we can. We're going to do it within the budget, and so we're moving forward on that right now.
So I want to go back to the LP&L just a little bit. There's KFYO story. Pretty much, they're saying they're not going to raise rates again for this move to the new building that they can foresee at this time. And I don't know if you...
Yeah, so, I mean, Casey, you're talking, I have not seen the story, but here's the LP&L. You're talking about LP&L rates.
Right.
Yeah. So LP&L rates, the year that begins in October, this fiscal year, will be the fourth of a 5-year plan for them to where they've raised the on the base rate, they've raised it. They said they were going to raise it 5.5% a year on the base rate, which is about 30% of the average person's bill. So it's 5% on that 30%.
So are we talking about the electric portion of the bill?
Yes, the LP&L piece, just their piece. And so they've done that. They did that. They did 5.5% for 3 years. This year it's going to be 5%. Mm-hmm. Next year we don't think it'll be anything. They think we're able to, and it's all being turned around and put into capital investment. It's infrastructure. It's to allow us to connect to ERCOT. Frankly, it's to help update a very old physical plant. So that's something that's been in place. It's been in place now. This will be the 4th year for that. Any of the adjustment to that rate is completely unrelated to Citizens Tower. It's related to what was a plan that was approved, was delivered, I guess, in their budget 4 years ago. Certainly approved by council, has now been approved 4 times.
Yeah. So. I don't remember who they talked to, but they said that they didn't expect that. The other thing is that LP&L will be taking up 28% of Citizens Tower, and so they're covering the amount of 28% of what is owed on Citizens Tower. Is kind of the way they explained it, essentially paying rent on the building.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know the exact percentage, but whatever percentage they occupy, they're gonna help. They're gonna pay their rent for that percent.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And I think why LP&L's the thing about LP&L becoming so big is because in the past the council has taken money out of LP&L for the Lubbock budgets, right? But that's not what this is.
Yeah, they were
accused, I guess my point.
They were accused of using it as a piggy bank.
Right, but that's not this.
No, that's not this. So many years ago, Devin, I know Dave remembers it very well. In fact, we had a vote as citizens to further separate LP&L from the city because the council rated it. It was said, I don't know, I was not there, but today the money that's transferred on an annual basis from LP&L to the city is we know exactly what it's going to be. It would be much like a franchise fee or a payment in lieu of a franchise fee. So if LP&L didn't exist and Xcel Energy was provided us energy, they would pay a franchise fee. Basically, it's the fee they would pay to use our right-of-ways, the things that we maintain, that we own and maintain. But that's what LP&L pays today. They pay. We don't get to the end of the year and say, "Hey, you guys have a lot of cash. We need some cash." It's not one. It's not one of those kind of things.
Okay.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. Let's go ahead and take the break, and when we come back, we'll dig into the budgets a little bit.
Okay, 7:22 a.m., and this is News Talk, 95.1 FM and 790 a.m. We are KFYO Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin, and we're talking to Mayor Dan Pope this morning. And, of course, last night was the city council meeting. The budget was approved.
It was, yes.
And I guess that's the biggest thing you guys have been working on, probably spending more time on that than anything else. You were glad to sign off on that, I bet.
We were. Yeah, it's good to get that behind us. It's one of our, I guess, the charter says we're supposed to do 4 or 5 things, 5 or 6 things, and that's probably at the very top of the list.
So, as far as the budget, were there any fireworks or anything in the budget?
Well, certainly, probably the biggest decision, at least related to the budget, 2 big decisions we made last night related to the budget. One was how we fund dollars for North and East Lubbock. We've for the last 14 years, most of the last 14 years, the council has funded the North and East Lubbock CDC, Community Development Corporation, and last night we chose, instead of funding that, to send those funds, those very same funds, to send them through the Community Development Department. I think we felt like we weren't getting the return on investment that we expected from NEL-CDC. We had talked about it a lot publicly. We had some, I think, very frank discussions with them a year ago, and council voted 5-2 last night to go a different route with that. Same dollars, just a different route. Instead of paying the vast majority of those dollars going to administrative cost, we feel like we'll be able to significantly impact those neighborhoods. And so we'll give that a shot.
So it's a little over 90% going to administrative costs on that?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. The numbers we looked at were 92%. I think
it was a lot.
NALCDC says it's less. Regardless, it was way more than what would be expected. I think anytime you look at a not-for-profit and they're spending 30 cents on the dollar or more on administrative costs, you've got to really start digging in.
Well, KCBD.com is reporting that there were some citizens there from the community, from those communities, that didn't want to see this, see it funded.
There are people on both sides. I mean, there were. We had a couple we had 3 speakers last night in I guess anti-NLCDC. But we've heard citizens on both sides of it. So like most issues.
Tell me again where the money is going to go now.
It's going to go through community development. So
so the vast majority of it is going to wind up paving streets.
I think mainly houses. This is not. We're going to do some street work, but this won't be with this dollars. This will be generally owner-occupied home rehab is what it's going to be. So that's that idea that you got an owner-occupied home. Often you've got elderly people living in that home. Yeah. Let's keep that home up. So when they're ready to when they pass away, when they move along, that it's something that someone else would want to own. It doesn't become a rental property.
It just seems to me that this thing would be, the way it was set up, would be really hard to defend. And I know we had 2 council people who voted to leave it like it was. I can't. I mean, isn't it really hard to defend spending nearly $400,000 or over $350,000, and 92% of it goes to administrative cost?
I think it is, Dave.
Well, but now I'm going to defend Councilman Harris just a little bit. I think her worry is that when the money gets pulled away from this organization, it's going to be pulled out of Northeast Lubbock completely.
That's right. I think that's her concern.
And so, but y'all have no plans of that. Y'all plan on putting it back into that area.
That's exactly what we'll. In fact, what we'll do is we'll approve a detailed plan that will come back to us now. So this is not just going to get lost in a big city budget. They'll bring a plan back to us. We'll know by neighborhood. There was some discussion.
So there'll be a well-defined geographic area then.
And we've got to decide what neighborhood. So there's some discussion last night about adding Arnett Benson to this, which is certainly North Lubbock, but it's never been in the defined North and East Lubbock plan. And so,
well, if you're talking about rehabbing some homes, $400,000 is not going to go very far, I would think.
We'll spend no more than $15,000 per home. Generally, we spend about half of that. So we think these dollars will, a minimum of 20 homes. We feel like we'll do more than that. And we're talking. Many cases, we're talking roofs, we're talking paint jobs, we're talking basic kind of repairs in the home.
Yeah. But also, when you're looking at many, I mean, this is only a 1-year budget, right?
That is correct.
So when you're looking at doing this over years and years, 20 houses is actually a good chunk of houses in that area.
That's the idea. Year. If you do it every year, it has a sort of an incremental impact. So that was one topic last night. I think the other thing that caught a little bit of lightning last night was the health plan. We've made some significant changes to the employee health plan, employee and retiree plan. When I say significant changes, mainly in plan design, there was some concern among retirees about Medicare eligible retirees about some of the changes that we'd made. I think we were able to handle most of those concerns last night. It is a change. Change is difficult, particularly change is difficult for folks that are over 65. But I think the message on the health plan is that those structural changes will save the city about $5 million in 1 year.
Just save them $5 million.
In 1 year, that's right.
It makes me ask, how much is it totally?
$31 million this year.
Ooh.
And not only $31 million, but it was the fastest growing cost we had, and we've built the curve a little bit. We still have work to do, but anybody that purchases health care realizes the challenges that go along with that in our system today. And I think we made some responsible decisions last night around health care.
Okay, we're going to take the the 7:30 break, Mr. Mayor, and we'll come back and stay with us and come back on the other
I
side.
got one more segment. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
We'll be right back. News Talk, 95.1 FM and 790 AM. We are KFYO Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. It is 7:36 a.m. A good time to remind you that we are broadcasting live from the Culligan Water Studio, Better Water, Pure and Simple. And again, we have in the house this morning our Lubbock Mayor, Dan Pope. We also, let's get right to these texters this morning, Mayor.
Yes.
From the 470, says on the radio, the city sounds very conservative on budgets, when in reality, all they do is force communities to be annexed to city, charging us city taxes in exchange for no services. That sounds like someone who possibly has been annexed recently.
We're considering some new annexations. We've not annexed any communities. We've annexed certainly certain parts of the county, but we're looking at a few more right now. But those decisions have not been made. We did do 3 last night. We finalized 3 very small annexations that go back to the 212 agreements that were signed in April of 2016, where people could opt out of annexation, which was something the previous council an allowance they made for citizens that didn't want to be in the city. And the 3 that we annexed last night, 2 of them had come to us and said we changed our mind. One violated the terms of that 212 agreement, so we did those 3. But those were just very, very small tracts, individual tracts in one case. We're looking at a number of other annexations, and it's we've got a committee of citizens that's made a number of recommendations to us about annexation. We, as a council, have got to decide what we're going to do. Yeah. I mean, I certainly can tell you that it's not unanimous among the council on how we move forward on annexation. That's something that people should watch. We'll be dealing with that this fall.
Well, of course, annexation, anytime that's addressed, it's going to be a controversial subject. Another texture this morning from the 773 says, are the homes that will be repaired be homes that are that the occupants own or rent? And I heard you answer that already. It's going to be purely for homeowners.
Owner occupied. That's right. That's what we want to. That's where we want to focus our energies.
Okay. So LP&L is a separate entity with its own board and management. Did they have the choice to say, no thanks, we don't want to move to Citizens Tower?
I wasn't around when that decision was made, but probably not. We appoint their board, we approve their budget. At the end of the day, the council still has that responsibility.
Yeah. And okay, 7:39 a.m. as we're moving on along this morning.
So we talked about this a little bit during the break, but what is the council looking at doing moving forward?
Well, we just talked about the annexations. That'll be in our but that's certainly this sometime later this fall. I think probably the most pressing issue in front of us is police facilities, public safety facilities. We've talked a bunch about it. The council has voted to say we're going to move forward with this plan that includes 3 police substations in different parts of the community.
Do we have the funds appropriated for that?
No, we do not. So that's the decision.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of money too.
How to fund it? It is. It's about $60 million. So it's 3 police substations, a much smaller but administrative headquarters downtown, municipal court, and a property warehouse. I believe we need to deal with it. I moved back to Lubbock in 1994. I was in the Leadership Lubbock class in 1996. We toured the police station. That's a generation ago. We were talking about it then. It was in bad shape then. We've not done the right things when it comes to police facilities. I think we need to do it. I would like to see us be able to vote on it. It's going to cost the same amount whether we vote on it or the council issues COs. There's, I think, a balance. The bulk of the council believes that we should just issue COs. If you read our charter, it's the very top thing on our responsibilities to provide for the public safety of our citizens. That's what many of them say. Hey, there's no reason to vote. We were elected to do this. We'll get to make that decision this fall. The impact to citizens eventually. Maybe not in year 1, but it's about It's about 3 cents on the tax rate. So that's the I can't remember what that is for the average homeowner. It costs something. It's an investment. I think it's the right kind of investment to make. I think our council is
and I think it's absolutely necessary from everything that I've heard. I mean, I heard Mayor Robertson talking about this years ago.
Well, I think you could go back and hear Mayor Martin talk about it, Mayor Miller talk about it, probably Mayor McDougal talk about it. I think they've all agreed. I think our council's decided that we don't want to kick the can down the road any longer, and municipal square is a real problem, and we need to deal with that. So that's in front of us. I think you will see us probably dig a little bit more into the planning effort that's going on. We got the Citizens Planning Committee that's been working now for about 4 months, working right now on land use. Then they'll work into more of an overall city plan. We have they meet again next week. They've had one public meeting. They'll have a number of public sessions for over the next 6 or 9 months to get people's input on that. That's a big effort that's going on, and frankly, the council's been stayed out of it, and we need to stay out of it to some degree. But because of the budget, we've found ourselves occupied on other things. You'll see, I think, a little more emphasis on that going forward. It's probably that it. Let's do a few things and let's do them really well. And I don't think we've got a lot of ideas about sticking our fingers into a lot of things that we don't need to right now.
That's probably wise. Well, Mayor, I think we're out of time. We certainly want to thank you for coming out and talking with us this morning. And good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for letting me come on. It's important that we're able to talk about what's going on. We don't expect everybody to agree, but we need to be accessible and open and be able to explain the whys behind it. And getting a chance to come out and talk with you guys is a big part of that. So we appreciate it.
You know, citizens love to be involved, and they love to hear the facts. All right, we will take a break and be right back.
You have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks, man.